and check out WandaVision, which is now on Disney Plus. The first two episodes dropped this past Friday. Obviously, this is Marvel's first step into the television world as Phase 4 is kind of starting to kick off a little bit. We were
Yeah,
supposed
sure.
to, yeah, we were supposed to have the Black Widow movie at this point. Any others that we missed?
Eternals was supposed to
Yes,
be last fall as well.
that's right. Swole Kumail, which is what everybody wanted. So, um, so going into this, maybe let's start with a little bit of like setting the stage and just kind of giving our own perspectives because uh, WandaVision was something that seemed really interesting because it felt like Marvel's gonna get weird here, right? We know that Vision was a character that actually died at the end of Endgame, was
Yeah,
not brought back, or
one of
sorry,
the
Infinity
few.
War. Yeah, it was not brought back in Endgame, and it seemed like to have this person all of a sudden, or this character all of a sudden coming back, there's obviously going to be something like psychedelic or trippy or surreal happening. So that was really promising. And then we start to get some of the promos, and it seems like they're going for like a real wonky sitcom type vibe. Like I don't know. You think about the Brady Bunch or
Yeah,
something like that as like
Dick
the
Van Dyke Show. There's a lot of clear homages through these first two episodes. Both the title
yeah.
sequences and even the
I
beats
Love
within
Lucy.
the,
Yep.
within the stuff. Yeah.
Yep. So it seemed just really intriguing to see. After getting these first two episodes, I mean, I guess where were you to begin with, and where is it leaving you now?
Yeah. Well, I'm definitely happy it's first. I think if COVID hadn't happened, Falcon and the Winter Soldier would have been the first
Mhm.
Disney Plus MCU show we got. But by all accounts, that feels like something more familiar as an extension of the Captain America films.
Yep.
I feel like we got a handle on that. This,
Mhm.
as you said, yeah, different flavor at the very least. And like Vision coming back to life. Obviously, they'll explain it in some way eventually. I really don't give a shit what the reason is because I am happy to see them back because both Vision and Scarlet Witch, two of the most underserved MCU characters to this point, Elizabeth Olsen and Paul Bettany, talented performers, uh, didn't really have a whole lot to do
Yep.
throughout most of these films. Big part of that would be that they don't have any solo films to be in. So I'm happy that they're getting this chance. And I mean, if Elizabeth Olsen's going to be wallowing away on some eight picture project, you might as well let her do something cool once in a while, right? So,
Totally.
and by all accounts, this will be tying into Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness in some way. Because again, the Wanda's powers are still nebulous on the MCU, but we know how powerful she is in terms of altering reality and stuff. So that all makes sense to me. Um, but yeah, I'm just the love and attention it was giving and showing to 1950s sitcoms uh,
Yeah.
really stood out to me. I thought it was cool just because it was different. Um, the critics also got the third episode on their
Mhm.
screeners, and apparently we get more into what the plot of this 9 episode season will be in that. But I don't care if it's like kind of light on story. I just like that it's a different flair because as we all know, the MCU is often quite homogenous. So anything that kind of breaks the wheel a little bit is cool with me.
Yeah, definitely. And even speaking about like the care that they put into it, they even like shot the first two in like the old 4:3
Yeah.
aspect ratio of like the old sitcoms, which is pretty neat. And I think I totally agree with your point. It's a good one that these are two characters that were totally underserved. And to be honest, like Vision just never was one that stood out to me. It's kind of hard, I think, to connect with this like robot who is like learning how to love. In a lot of ways, we would be mocking this if it was Westworld in a sense. It just
Good
wasn't
point.
like played up as like the central theme of these movies. But I kind of like that they put them in this world where Vision has to not be Vision the
Hmm.
most time, so you get to see actual Paul Bettany just
Yeah.
being handsome and charming, which is cool.
They'll make him sit in the makeup chair every time. That's
Right.
nice of them.
Yeah, and they're they're making it kitschy enough and goofy enough where you're kind of just like going along with like the stupidness of the plots. Um, while also I think tying in a couple of things where you're like, what's the bigger thing at play? Like you have like the guy in the beekeeper outfit at the end of the second episode, or how they kind of rewind and Wanda hears someone saying, "Wanda, who's doing this to you?" In a voice. So there's enough things here to keep it like interesting and intriguing. And going back to the idea of like the weirdness, I mean, you think about like even the phase three and like the second half of it when we finally get a Doctor Strange movie, right? And I guess maybe that's at the beginning of phase three. Now I'm thinking about it, but people really,
2016, whatever the fuck it was.
yeah. So people really, I think, liked that Doctor Strange was had all these weird visuals and this trippiness and
Oh yeah,
this and like
I'm a big fan of that one.
yeah, and you think about even Infinity War, like one of the best scenes is when they're trying to get Thanos' glove off, and Strange does all of his weird like
Yeah,
chakra shit. It's just really cool visuals. So the more that they're just like leaning into this like uniqueness and weirdness, especially as the superheroes are becoming a little bit more niche and not as well known in this upcoming phase, I think that's just going to allow them to keep trying things and uh, really making these homages to these TV genres. So, or
right.
in these movie genres as well. So I'm all for it. I'm really excited to see the third episode, see where this goes. Um, and anything about the episodes that really stood out, like any scenes or moments for you?
No, I mean, I appreciate like the laugh track humor they had going
Hmm.
on again because it familiar like the old school sitcoms. I like Catherine Hahn's presence early on as the nosy neighbor
Yeah.
for MCU people. Apparently, adult Monica Rambeau from Captain Marvel will be popping up again. I don't really care about the MCU tissue, it's connective tissue so much. And like that was one thing when I saw the trailer. Like, there's a moment in the trailer where like they're being chased by like soldiers or like tanks or something. I'm like, oh wow, that just looks quite generic. I don't need this.
Hmm.
Let's keep it in their minds. Let's keep it going weird. So I think inevitably we're gonna start to see the seams crack. It'll eventually go all full color. But like a lot of MCU stuff, there seems to be a lot of attention given to the
Hmm.
choices. So should be still pleasant. So curious.
Yeah, I'm with you. And any theories on like what's going on?
No, no
No.
theory at all. I don't know. Maybe it's like some Truman Show shit. I guess I don't know. Something like that.
Yeah, my initial theory was this was like us experiencing Wanda having like a psychotic break due to like the
Yeah.
grief of Vision's death, but hearing who's doing this to you, obviously it seems like there might be like a villain that we
Right.
come to see at play. I did think the voice that was saying like who's doing this to you sounded a bit like Chris Evans. So I'm wondering if, especially because he's rumored to be signing on to play Captain America again in some things, maybe he'll be tied in some way, but that might have just been hopefulness on my part. So,
Yeah.
a lot to come. We'll be talking about it as it wraps up, but drop us your thoughts in the comments below. Any last thoughts on this before we jump to some movies?
Uh, I think some people may still not know this, but Marvel obviously has made TV shows before, but that was under the old system where Marvel Television was separate from Marvel Studios. Now Marvel Television is no more, and the TV is also made by Marvel Studios and under the purview of Kevin Feige. So, and obviously we know about a myriad MCU shows forthcoming as outlined by the Disney Investor Day. So cool to see them continue their takeover, I suppose. So we'll see how the product turns out in
Definitely.
7 more weeks.
Uh, Marvel is a can't miss right now, so they keep the run going.